Greetings everyone, my name is Tyler Adolfo, and in this video I'm going to tell you about one of the most profoundly humbling experiences of my life. I gotta take you back to the year 2022, because in 2022 I was expelled from the Kappa Sigma fraternity, more specifically from the Gamma Delta chapter at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. After being expelled, my fraternity identity quickly shifted from Brother Pope, which was a more affectionate, acclaimed title, to the position of being an exiled outcast. This happened during one of the darkest chapters of my life when my bipolar manic episode was at its absolute peak. But here's the part nobody expects. The part that might catch a lot of people off guard is that in 2025, they brought me back. I was reinstated to my college fraternity. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about what happened, why it happened, and what I learned from it. This is not just a story about me being kicked out of a college fraternity. This is a story about accountability, growth, recovery, and healing, specifically as it pertains to mental health, mental well-being. So let me set the stage and draw your attention to my 2021 fall semester at UMass Amherst. Going into that semester, I had built up a great deal of momentum. It was my junior year. I had pledged the past spring and was now living in the fraternity house. I got elected to 2 positions in my fraternity, landed a new job at the Chamber of Commerce, and on the physical side, I developed a consistent gym routine, which caused me to lose lots of weight and truly transform my body for the better. So there were a lot of positives taking place at this particular moment in time, but this was an ephemeral state. It would not last for a long time. I ended up suffering from a full-blown manic episode. I think that school and stress and personal pressure, I hadn't learned how to fully manage it up at that point. And so it took its toll on me gradually, and everything kind of just built up and accumulated until eventually I was no longer capable of holding in that stress and disguising what was going on. I became increasingly garrulous, and my conversation, I would talk very speedily. And in hindsight, I refer to myself at that time period as a delusional auctioneer. Members of my family have stated that they couldn't get a word in with me, and that I was lucid at times, that it was almost like what I was saying was believable. I don't think that was the case for everybody who came across their interactions with me, but I think it's a notable observation nonetheless, looking at this in the aftermath. Things truly got out of control. I started lashing out at fraternity brothers online, posting on social media a wide array of images and videos that derived from a delusional state. And I would put words that expressed my delusions. And it infuriated me that nobody believed or adhered to the delusions that I was disseminating. I became increasingly antagonistic and hostile towards those around me. I started to lose trust in everybody. Eventually, fraternity leadership had to step in. It was specifically because I had lashed out at fraternity brothers and fraternity accounts on social media that I ultimately got the kick, got the boot. I remember at the time being shocked looking at the email, which speaks to my mental state because it shouldn't have been a shock. The actions that I had committed were clearly unbecoming, and that's the official reason for my expulsion, is conduct unbecoming of a gentleman. And I understand now in hindsight why that had to take place and why it was the necessary course of action. But looking back, I wish I could have done things differently. I wish I had the insight to know there was something wrong with me. In a past video of mine titled, I Lived in a Fraternity House While Manic, I talked more specifically about the various delusions I experienced, the hallucinations I experienced, and interactions I had with brothers, my hospitalizations, and so forth. So if you're interested in that, check out that video. I'll put a link in the description box below. In this video, I more want to talk about my journey to being reinstated. Eventually, therapy and medication kicked in, and I was able to gradually recover my sanity. I had lost control of my central command center, but fortunately, I was able to recapture that and to recapture my intellectual faculties. And upon doing so, I had this desire, this unrelenting desire to make things right with Kappa Sigma. Even though I was no longer going to be at the parties or in the brother functions or even at the same institution, it was critically important to me that I have some sense of vindication, that I have some type of recognition that this was due to a mental health problem, not due to me acting out of character. I mean, I was acting out of character, but it was due to the mitigating factor of mental health, as opposed to me just being this terrible person with an abysmal character. And so I decided to draft a letter to send to fraternity nationals, making my case for why I should be reinstated. It was a request. In it, I take accountability for my actions and the hurt and harm that my words caused to others, because I was so antagonistic at the time, and the words I used were so particularly harsh and unbecoming, and I was ashamed and embarrassed about the things I said, and that's why I took accountability and apologized to fraternity nationals. In that letter, I also talked about how brothers visited me in the hospital when I was at one of my worst states, and how it's a testament to the brotherhood, the strength of the brotherhood of this fraternity. So I submitted the letter in 2024, late 2024, and in January 2025, I got an answer. I remember checking my email, and it said something along the lines of just like, congratulations, you have been reinstated to the Kappa Sigma fraternity. And I just let out like a huge sigh of relief, because even though I would no longer be active in the way that I was previously, I think it's a testament to my resilience. I think it showcases the empathy and compassion that members of fraternity nationals displayed. They were able to understand that this was not who I truly was, that the actions I had undergone were antithetical to who I truly am, and that I am capable of being a successful member of this fraternity who can represent this fraternity well. I was relieved, I was proud, I was grateful. I didn't think that this would happen. I didn't think that it was possible for this to happen. But it happened, and I think that really goes to show that we should never surrender hope, because you never know what's going to transpire. We all encounter challenges, but what truly separates us is how we react to and overcome them. Life is 10% what happens to us, but 90% how we react to it. A couple things I want to say before I end this video. Number one, accountability is important. I did undergo a severe medical episode without question, but that doesn't excuse the behaviors that I initiated and the way that I harmed others. The product of those behaviors were so intense and antithetical to who I am that I felt the need to take accountability for that, because I don't want people to remember me as that person who was acting out of character. I want them to remember the good times, the times of me serving in those 2 elected positions with competence, as short-lasting as that period was. I just wanted people to be able to see the better part of me and not entirely judge me on how I was acting while under the influence of this severe bipolar manic episode with psychosis. So accountability is vital. Number 2, self-forgiveness is also vital. I was so hard on myself. I was beating up on myself and passing judgment on myself, and I was just overwhelmed with fear, doubt, uncertainty, guilt, shame, embarrassment. I know that's a lot of words right there. I won't go into each one individually, but I'm sure you can understand how this manic episode hit me very hard. It was like a Mack truck, and it took years to recover from. In the immediate aftermath, I experienced so much racing thoughts about what had taken place. And it took me a long time to find the right medication cocktail in order to alleviate those symptoms. But I was able to discover the medication cocktail that works best for me, that was the best fit for me. And I attribute that, of course, to the phenomenal medical team that handled my recovery. And I understand that this wouldn't have been possible, though, without me forgiving myself. Because it was the recognition that the catalyst for this wasn't my fault. That I shouldn't blame myself for something that was beyond my control. I can still take accountability for things that I regret, but at the end of the day, ultimately, I shouldn't be too hard on myself because these were things that were outside of my control. I literally did not have control of my central command center. And of course, number 3, and after this, I want to speak specifically to my local fraternity brothers, whether graduated or the ones who are there now at the Gamma Delta chapter. Number 3, never surrender hope. I've been able to find peace and tranquility in my life once more. I've been able to get myself back into university. I've been able to have a positive impact on other people's lives through videos on this channel, such as my bipolar breakdown playlist. Received scores and scores of comments of people saying that I've had a positive influence on themselves, made them feel less lonely, provided them insight about a condition that may affect themselves or someone they care deeply about. And that's meaningful. It means the world to me. And so I'm grateful for that I maintained my hope. Diligence and commitment, my brothers, can take you anywhere. I'm only just getting started. As Winston Churchill said, this is not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end, but rather it is an end to the beginning. To my brothers of the Gamma Delta chapter of Kappa Sigma fraternity, please know, if you ever encounter any kind of mental health struggles, it is vital that you seek help in some form or another, whether it be confiding in one of your brothers or seeking professional medical help. Putting yourself out there and letting it be known that you're dealing with something is crucial. It's something that, while I had the insight in the early stages of my mania, I could have done, but I did not. It's because I didn't recognize the tremendous gravity of the situation. But your mental health is always of profound importance. Your mental health oftentimes is what determines whether you'll be successful or fail at any particular endeavor. So, please, seek the help if you need it. It doesn't make you weak. It's okay not to be okay. This life is full of challenges. I can tell you that. These past few years of my life have been a testament to that. So please, don't be too hard on yourselves. Never give up. Never surrender hope. Be there for each other. And this goes to any tight-knit group of people, because I've often said that my fraternity brothers were the best friends I had in my life. And even though we don't maintain correspondence to this day to a significant degree, I've had interactions with some and spoken with some and got caught up with some and got to hear their perspective about what happened. But I don't speak to my fraternity brothers as much as I used to, of course. However, at the end of the day, we're brothers for life. At the end of the day, we all went through that initiation. We're all trying to be men of zeal and follow in the footsteps of distinguished brothers like Stephen Alonzo Jackson. So as a final conclusion to my brothers, AB. To everyone else watching this video, I want to thank you for walking down this path of memory lane for me, about me. I appreciate you spending time hearing my story and lived experience battling this condition, specifically how it impacted my membership in a fraternity, how it got me expelled, how I ultimately got reinstated. I want you to just never surrender hope. If there's one thing to walk away from this video, it's never surrender hope and take your mental health seriously, because you never know where it will lead if you don't take it seriously, if you don't recognize the gravity of the situation. This is our Central Command Center that we're talking about. We can't succeed without a healthy Central Command Center. So viewers, brothers, anyone watching this video, love, light, and tranquility to all.